All right, let's get right into it. When you look at the financial markets, it's easy to see this huge, chaotic mess. But what if it's not chaos at all? What if it's actually a very structured battlefield? A zero-sum game where, for every single winner, there has to be a loser. Today, we're going to break down the only two roles that exist in this fight. You're either the hunter or you're the hunted.
So let me ask you straight up. When you click that button to place a trade, which one are you? And look, this isn't just for dramatic effect. This is the fundamental question that decides whether money flows into your account or drains out of it. The answer literally defines your entire trading career.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures what the market really is. It's not about being lucky. It's a game of skill, a game of information, a game of perspective. Money doesn't get created out of thin air. It simply moves. It moves from the uninformed to the informed. The only question you need to answer is, how do you make sure you are on the receiving end of that transfer?
Well, to become the hunter, you first have to understand your prey. It's absolutely crucial. We need to dissect the mindset, the habits, and the totally predictable mistakes of the novice trader. Because that's the person who consistently and unknowingly funds the accounts of the pros.
You see, the novice trader isn't operating on logic. Their actions are driven by the two most powerful and, frankly, most unreliable forces in the universe: raw fear and pure greed. They don't trade based on objective reality. They trade based on a set of really powerful illusions that they've been taught to believe are true. And because all of this is rooted in basic human psychology, their next move is incredibly easy to predict.
Let's call these the three main forms of bait. First up, you've got the news. I mean, how many times have you seen some terrible news come out and the market just rallies? It makes no sense, right? Then you have analyst opinions, the upgrades that conveniently invite the public to buy at the absolute worst time. And of course, earnings reports. By the time a company reports those fantastic earnings, the smart money is already quietly selling their shares to the excited crowd that's just now rushing in.
And all those illusions lead to two fatal, endlessly repeating mistakes. First, novices buy high. They jump in with the rest of the herd after a price has already shot up. That's called paying retail. Then they sell low, panicking out of their position after a sharp drop. And that's selling at wholesale. Think about it. Buy retail, sell wholesale. It's a guaranteed recipe for losing money every single time.
So why on earth do people do this? Well, because it feels safe. It's just human nature, We're wired to look for comfort and safety in the crowd. But here's the twist. In the markets, the crowd is almost always wrong at the most important turning points. The professional trader not only understands this impulse, they use it as a giant flashing sign to do the exact opposite.
Okay, so if that's the hunted, what is the hunter doing? Well, they're not even playing the same game. They're using a completely different playbook. They've learned to ignore all the noise, all the illusions, and instead, they focus on one, and only one thing: reality. All that news, all those analyst reports, all that fear and greed floating around, every single bit of it is already baked into one place: the price chart. Price is the ultimate truth teller. It's the final judge. It represents the sum total of every action from every person in the market, and it reveals the true balance of power between buyers and sellers.
You see, professionals don't just see a squiggly line on a chart, they see zones. A demand zone is simply a price level where, in the past, buying pressure crushed selling pressure and sent prices soaring. This is the wholesale price. This is where the smart money is patiently waiting to buy from all the people who are panic selling.
And on the flip side, you've got a supply zone. This is where selling pressure completely swamped all the buying, forcing prices to drop. This is the retail price. It's the exact spot where smart money plans to sell to all the emotional buyers who are late to the party and chasing the rally.
In this slide right here, this is where it all clicks into place. The pro and the novice are staring at the exact same chart, but they see completely opposite opportunities. At a supply zone, that retail price, the novice feels that fear of missing out and buys. The pro sees an overpriced, high-risk area and sells. Then, at a demand zone, the wholesale price, the novice panics and sells their shares for a loss. The pro sees a bargain and buys.
Now, this deep understanding of supply, demand, and novice psychology, it's not just a defensive strategy to avoid mistakes. It's an offensive one. It's about more than just protecting your capital. It's about actively capitalizing on the predictable mistakes that other people are guaranteed to make.
Let that sink in for a second.
The very structure of the market, with its predictable emotional reactions, constantly creates these traps. Novice traders walk right into them, time and time again. Professional traders, on the other hand, just wait patiently for the trap to be sprung. In fact, they're the ones setting it.
So how do they do it? It's a surprisingly simple, repeatable process. Step 1, they identify those objective supply and demand zones on a clean price chart. Step 2, and this is the hardest part for most people, they do absolutely nothing. They wait patiently for the price to come to them. Step 3, they watch and identify the herd reacting emotionally right at that predefined zone. And finally, step 4, they execute. They take the other side of that emotional trade.
This is the hunter's creed. It really boils down to this: a strategy of exploiting predictable human emotion at predictable price levels. You are essentially providing a service to the emotional trader. You're buying their shares from them when they're terrified, and you're selling them your shares when they're feeling euphoric and greedy.
So as we wrap this up, let's get to the absolute heart of what separates the hunter from the hunted. What is the one thing, the true edge, that allows this massive transfer of wealth to happen day in and day out?
Most people spend years looking for a magic bullet. Some secret indicator, a complicated algorithm, some guru's hot pick. They're convinced that success is hidden in complexity. But that's just another one of the great illusions. The real edge isn't something you find on your chart at all.
Your real edge is understanding the person you are trading against. It's knowing their psychology. It's knowing their mistakes before they even make them. It's knowing their predictable reactions to fear and greed. When you place a trade, you're not just clicking a button. You're entering a transaction with another human being, and your profit comes directly from their flawed, emotional, and predictable decision-making.
It really all comes down to this. Stop trying to be the smartest person in the room. Instead, just focus on your opponent's predictable mistakes. That is the ultimate source of profit. All the answers you're looking for aren't in a book or an indicator. They are in the behavior of the person who is about to willingly hand you their money.
So I'll leave you with one final question, a question you should ask yourself every single time before you risk your hard-earned money. On this battlefield, you always have a choice. Will you continue to be the hunted, driven by emotion and illusion, or will you decide right now to become the hunter, operating with a clear, patient, reality-based strategy? The choice is always yours.